almost 6 years ago, we planted this bamboo. It's before Toon and I first moved to the farm full time, and we did lots of things wrong. Not only were we non-organic and sprayed and ploughed, but we also planted them at the height of the dry season. First put these in 100 plants. They're not trees, they're a grass. And yeah, we didn't have any irrigation. The soil was rubbish. We bunged them all in, and about 95 of them survived amazingly. So look at the height of these now. So today I'm just sort of like talking about our bamboo journey and how the bamboo forest has taken shape over that time. Always nice and cool in a bamboo forest. The only drawback is the old mozzies, so fingers crossed it's a little bit too cool for them this morning. Now this is Taiwan bamboo. It is a large species. It's not the #1 giant one where you can put both arms around it, but it does grow quite big. Just show you the typical size now of the new shoots. So this is a new shoot. You see it a new shoot shooting up there, but it takes 2 hands to get round it. So we don't cut all of these. We leave some to repopulate and continue growing the clumps. There's a new one there. So we normally let this go to sort of like double the size and then cut it down. There's a couple of reasons why we specifically chose Taiwan bamboo. The first one is that it grows all year round if you can give it water all year round, which we don't. This bamboo forest runs itself, and that was the whole idea many moons ago. When we first set it up, we wanted it all to close in the canopy and for them to suppress, or what's the word now, allopathic, I think, where it just kills off everything or suppresses everything underneath the story. The best thing about this bamboo, which was always our plan, hope, bit of both, was it to be self-sustaining with minimal input from me. And so all we wanted to do was come in here and cut the shoots to eat or preserve. And by and large, it does exactly that. It's fantastic. You see some new ones coming up here. They're too big to cut now for food. This one's just a perfect size. The basic rule of thumb for growing this sort of bamboo is the rule of 4. So you always leave a minimum of 4 poles in the clump. Anything else, you can take out the old poles, and of course you can take the new shoots. And it's up to a maximum of 16. So in theory, after 4 years, you should have 16 poles. Don't keep any more than 16, and that's supposed to be your best yardstick for growing bamboo. But honestly, we don't do jack now to it apart from just harvest it. There's a lot of old bits that have been cut off by the boys. They've been using loads and loads for building materials. Some of the clumps are looking a little bit scrag end, if I'm honest, but for something that takes no taking care of now, I think it's pretty awesome. Plenty of new shoots coming up all over the place. A few more over here. And don't forget, this is a rubbish rainy season, probably one of the driest rainy seasons we've had. Well, the second driest rainy season we've had since we've been on the land. One of the troubles we have is getting this sort of stuff out the canopy when it breaks, or when you cut it down you see some really twisted stuff, and that's this species of bamboo. It's not like the dead straight beam poles that you see quite often in Thailand. A lot of the native Thai species is almost dead straight. The stuff that we got off the nearby mountain where the monk let us take some out of there, and yeah, it was like you could make a flipping snooker cue out of them. Now these look pretty straight here. So how have we created a low maintenance bamboo forest? Well, we've done a few things, and nothing has been sort of like that hard to do, apart from quite a few man hours initially. One of the best successes has been this government road that runs along the edge of our bamboo plantation. So all along here you get people throwing their cassava sticks, or is it yucca, tapioca, and they just pile it up along here sometimes. The reason being is they cut them all ready to put in, so that you can see it growing over there. So what happens is they come down, and quite often they'll put a big pile down here, and then they'll sit in the shade cutting it, and all their offcuts, they're just left by the side of the road. So I go along with a shovel and just shovel them all in here. The same with all the leaves that gather on the road as well. For the first 3 years, this was like a duck down duvet. This was. It was so spongy to walk along, but of course leaf mould, it breaks down a tree. Now, as far as feeding goes, the first lot of feed that we used to put in before we had the goats was the poultry poop, quite often from the quails, and a lot stronger than goat poo. Then we switched over to the goat poo, and of course we mixed it in with the biochar. Now each bamboo clump has had at least 6 barrel loads of biochar put around them. But we haven't put any on here for about 18 months now. We've got enough. It's just that at the moment, with it still being the rainy season, I'm putting biochar underneath the goat feed tables every couple of days or so, because when you get heavy rains, the old goat poo is a bit pen and ink. So the biochar, of course, it's a good deodorizer. We use it underneath there. But the beauty of biochar is it doesn't degrade. So it's a one-time application. If you can put enough down in one go, then that's it. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, you're done. But to me, you can never have too much biochar. So in the long term, we will just be coming down here and just throwing it all over the place. It doesn't really have to go around the clumps anymore, because that root system will be well joined and intermingled with that root system. So in theory, you could just put biochar anywhere in here. Now, it is quite hungry bamboo. It will grow all right without you feeding it, but of course if you can give it some nutrients, then it's going to help a lot. So again, we have so much goat manure. It's just at the moment we're making loads and loads of compost. It all comes down to time at the end of the day. You know, if we had more time, more help on the farm, then yeah, we could be putting, I don't know, enough goat poo around one clump every single day. How many have we got now? I would say we're down to about 120. Anything that's really struggling in here, we just leave it. It's part laziness, and part that as these have matured, they take up more and more room. So if one dies back, hey ho, you're not strong enough to survive here on Poreang Farm, get out. And we just use the old poles for either building materials. If they've died because something's drilled into them, see if I can find a drill hole. This one's not looking too healthy, so it's probably, there we go, as if by magic. Various things burrow into them. If it's a really big hole, then quite often it's a carpenter bee, which I think this one is. I'll just push the camera up there. Apart from them, though, I think we had one lot of little bit of disease in the early days, and I think that was largely down to when we first went organic. Bear in mind that initially we used to spray this, had the old Kubota tractor going up and down here, and it was just blood and bone that we were putting on there. So we didn't particularly look after it very well in the early years. Now we don't take care of it at all, but it's all good. Spacing wise, 4 meters between each clump. There's a lot less now, obviously, because they're joining up, and then 5 meters in between. I wouldn't change that, really. I think that's it's pretty good for this particular species. You could probably go a lot closer than that for a bigger species, but I like it. It's so nice and airy in here, nice and cool. There's good airflow, and you can see the difference. Soon as you get outside of the canopy, then you get the growth. We don't let the goats in here. I would like to, because the only thing that seems to really survive is this climbing stuff, which the goats love, and there's some really woody stuff here. Again, the goats go absolutely crazy for this. Don't really want to come in here and cut it down and carry it for them. So what I was thinking, but I do need Toon's and Kaimuk's help, is get the bucklings in here for a day. And I'm pretty sure they'll get on top of it. I mean, it's not out of control. That you can see there's hardly anything that's climbing up around the bamboo. But it would be nice just to get them through in here, and then it would make it a little bit easier pulling all this stuff out. This makes the best biochar I've ever seen. Unless you're going to put teak or mahogany in your cone pit, or however you choose to make your biochar. It always amazes me that a lot of people tell us that they've never tried fresh bamboo. And people, oh, it didn't taste of anything. You've eaten the wrong bamboo, or you haven't prepared it right. So this species, another good thing about it, it's not stringy. You know, it's not very fibrous. As long as you don't get too greedy. If you try and save too much. So let me give you an example. Here we go. So here, nice length of bamboo, not particularly big diameter wise, but you can see, but we would cut it here, but really when you pull it, it will snap about here, and that's your natural sort of like guideline, nature's guideline, should we call it, that you can eat it from. So if it snaps there, by the time you've cleaned it, you'll probably get it down to about there. The tip would be down to about there because you unpeel it, and it's good to go. I always used to think, flipping out, you're wasting so much of it, but it's like peeling an onion. You've got to get the outer sheath off, and the old stubby bit at the end where the roots come out, but there's still plenty left. It grows so quickly. Obviously, Toon and I absolutely love eating bamboo. I would say at the moment we're eating it about 5 times a week, and we could eat it every single day. It's not a problem to us at all. Now, Toon does do specific dishes containing the bamboo. One of my favourites is pork rib with bamboo. It's like a broth. It's very good. I imagine very healthy for you. It's very nutritious for you. And of course, you've got the bone broth as well on top of that. But generally speaking, Toon just cuts it and sort of like not bite-sized chunks, but bits about that big, and boils it up. And you've got to make sure that it's boiled long enough, otherwise it can be a little bit bitter. And we use it as a side dish. So with a lot of Thai meals, you know, you get 4 or 5 dishes, don't you, as most of you know, and that will just be in a separate bowl, and then quite often several different dips just to plonk a little bit in there. And it's just a great way to eat it, and you get the full flavour. If you put it into like a spicy dish or something like that with lots of herbs and things, then sometimes you might as well get it out of a can. I know it wouldn't be quite as healthy, but you don't really get the full flavour of fresh bamboo. Now, not all bamboos are equal. The best tasting bamboo that I've ever had, it's by far and away my favourite, is the Thai spiky bamboo. And we used to have one tree, or one plant rather, here on the farm, and yeah, it caused several injuries to Toon. I had to carry her to safety once where it impaled her, and it is bulletproof. It's by far and away not only the best tasting, but it's the best one to use for building materials. Not particularly straight, but you struggle to get a nail into it. We do want to grow another one because we had to take out the last one. Well, we didn't, but it was in the way of where the ponds were going to go, and also because it had been left to go wild. It was huge and it was totally unmanageable. So yeah, what we should have done was cut a bit out with a bit of root on and go and plonk it somewhere else. So we may well do that. It's just that once you put that species in, that one does take a lot of care, otherwise it just grows out of control, and then you've got a bit of a drama anytime you want to cut some down. Hang on a minute, wife's on the blower. Bit of a drama with the missus. She's been waylaid at the post office sending the latest crayfish order off, and there's a massive queue there, and she's concerned that I haven't got anything to eat. It's about 11 o'clock now, but I don't know, intermittent fasting enforced. Can nibble on a bit of bamboo anyway, can't I? We've got a little rogue Lucina here. Goats will be happy if they find this. But it's down to the goats that this has turned up here. So when we put the goat jelly beans around here, if we've swept them up off the floor where they've been eating, there might have been a Lucina seed in there. Or sometimes actually inside the jelly bean, there'll be one in there, a seed in there. And it's because not all seeds are digested every time with the goats. But it's all right. As a lot of you guys know, that is a nitrogen fixer, so we'll leave it there. About a year ago, we had one die here, and Toon plonked it in. It's struggling though. It should be a lot bigger than this, but it's because it's competing with the established ones. So this will, I don't think this one will ever catch up. It might not even make it, but again, we don't mind. Some nice sized Lucina growing here. So really what we could do, because these are quite, well, they're pioneer plants really, same as moringa, we could start putting them in between. That would be brilliant if we could start getting them growing in here, because the beauty of it would be, see, I've just had this idea, amaze myself sometimes. In the dry season, because it'll have shade in here, it keeps the foliage nice and lush, whereas normally when the Lucina's out in full sun, it'll go a little bit brown, and it's prone to, there's like a little white midgy fly. It ends up with like cotton wool all over it, so we can't, you know, sometimes you go out and you'll find a lot of the stuff, but you can't cut it because the goats will be, ugh. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. All it'll take is for me to get off my backside and come in here and throw a load of seed down. I just love how vibrant the green is. In a perfect world, we'd be pumping water in here continuously. The land goes up towards the access road that runs horizontal to here. Yeah, really. What we should have done is it champers? Something like that? Not champers, that's a drink, isn't it? We should have done, if I had my time over again, that's what I'd do, with little weeping dams on the corners. That would have looked fantastic. And you could have just pumped up to the highest point and it just all working its way down here nice and slowly. You could, you know, you could control the flow. Yeah. Never mind, eh? We didn't even have a canal when we put this in. This was the first thing we ever planted here on Poreang Farm. So it's yeah, 6 years, eh? Where's the time gone? If you're contemplating growing some of this, I highly recommend it, but not too near your house. I'd say about at least 10 meters away. The height of it, you could have mozzies around your house, and the roots are so invasive. Although they're not particularly deep, they will go far and wide searching for water and nutrients. So yeah, don't put it near your foundations. It'll also obviously dry out your foundations as well. There's literally hundreds of species of bamboo, and the majority of them would grow here quite well in Thailand. So maybe you can get a more suitable bamboo species for the area that you'd like to grow. There's obviously also ornamental bamboos. You could put them in a pot, but I'm guessing, I'm pretty sure they'd break the pot. The roots are so fibrous and fast growing that yeah, I'm pretty sure they'd burst out of your pot. Don't underestimate the benefits of the leaves that are falling down. If we let the goats in here for more than a couple of weeks, they would eat these, and they're packed full of selenium. A lot of composts out there don't contain selenium, so if you've got access to some bamboo leaves, even if it's not your plant, when you're out and about, there's bamboo growing all over the place in rural Thailand. Take a bag with you, sweep up some leaves, stick them in your compost, and fantastic stuff. Our goats need a little bit of selenium, so they're more than happy to eat a little bit of this. But again, they'll actually eat the dry leaves as well. The leaves are also creating a natural mulch. So they shed the leaves and they're basically composting, mulching, mulchalising themselves. As far as plans go for the bamboo, I don't think we're going to grow more unless we go, turn this round, over there where we've got the canal going down there. There's a narrow little bit narrow land between the canal and the outside of our boundary that butts up to the side road. We could put some bamboo there. It's just that we've got more than enough for our use. Yeah, we used to sell a little bit, but I don't know, it's one of my problems. Grow all this stuff and then don't sell it. I don't know why. It's a habit we should probably get out of, but I don't know, it feels wholesome that we've got more than enough of that particular crop for our own consumption. We give some away, we preserve some, we use some for building materials. Yes, it doesn't last forever, but stuff that's too old to use for building materials, or stuff that's spent. So what I mean by that is like our new bamboo fishing hutch lodge in our house. When that's done, that'll go in the cone pit and make biochar. So it's not like we've grown so much that we've wasted anything. Nothing's wasted. So just carry on. Just probably for another video, that, isn't it? Porpeang Farm. Why don't we sell anything apart from crayfish and a few goats? It's like we often say, Poreang Farm. It's farming but different. There's a whole meaning of Porpeang, isn't it? Porpeang means enough. If you got enough, why push for more, eh? We're not looking for world domination here. We're just looking for a little bit of utopia. Yeah, that's definitely a video for another time, isn't it? Bamboo. 6 years. My goodness. Happy times. Here's one for you fans of Trivial Pursuit and you guys that go down the boozer for the pub quiz on a Wednesday night. Bamboo is one of the most, what is it now? Come on, Leigh. That's why I'm not in a pub quiz. One of the most sustainable plants that can be grown in the world. Stick that up your jacksie, greenhouse gases.